opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Thursday edition of the Morning Express here on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Beautiful day. It's 7:43 a.m. in the city of Lagos. Thursday, the third day in July 2025, and in another 24 hours, the weekend will be upon us. It's been a very, very interesting week, and most importantly, we've had a great time conversing with you, informing you, and taking your feedback on everything that we do on here. My name is Sage Babalola. Now, the Morning Express, for those of you who probably are listening for the first time, happens from 5 a.m. all the way to 11 a.m. Now, there's different segments in the Morning Express, starting from the news at 7 a.m. Of course, we do have programs that play all the way from 5 a.m. and then at 6:30 we have sports update with Odogunon. So we have commercials, and at 7 we have the news at 7. At 7:40, which is what is happening right this very moment, we have trends in the papers. At 8:40 we have Mainland Focus, and then it progresses. And at 10 we have Creative Niger. At 12 noon we have the news at noon. You would enjoy all of these programs if you come along with us. Now, aside from the programs that we have here on radio, we try the best we can to involve those who would rather participate via social media, which is why we have a very active social media platform. We keep you up to speed with news. Sometimes we drop this information on social media before we even bring it on air. So when we start talking about it on air, you're already equipped with all the information that you need just by following us on social media. And so we are about to begin to look at our dailies this morning. And as we delve into today's papers, we have a lot to discuss. Many things have happened, especially in the political space. We've seen shifts. We've seen alliances, we've seen coalitions being born, we've seen opposition to such coalition being born, and there is a lot of conversations about our democracy. There's a lot of conversations about vibrant opposition come 2027 especially, and also what would be the implication for the shift that is very rapidly happening within the political landscape. But let's use the newspapers as our guide. Let them guide the conversation, and hopefully Fuad will be able to join us in just a minute so that analysis can be provided to the headlines that we take from the newspapers. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, by the way. So you can join the streaming platform. You can enjoy seeing what goes on in the studio, whilst also actively commenting in real time. Today's Open Mic Thursday, so that's the beauty. It means that all the messages that you drop on our social media platform, even as we begin the program, will be attended to when we finally start to take contributions. So welcome once again to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Sage Babalola is my name. Fuad joins us now via the phone as we begin to flip through the pages of our dailies. Fuad, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sage. How are you doing?
I'm good. Up ADC. Say power, Fuad. This Fuad.
I don't even know. I don't know which one is PDP power. Now which one is ADC power?
I don't know what all these people that
why do you say power? I know power belongs.
Why? Yes, power belongs to God.
Power belongs to God. I beg.
Well, good morning and welcome to the program. How are you doing today, Fuad?
I'm good. Very good. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you very much. I wasn't able to sleep a lot, but it was worth it because I just needed to understand what was going on. Yes, and I needed to read what was happening. But then again, maybe when we open the conversation properly, we'll be able to really understand the thought process of this coalition and the decisions that have been made so far. Because as expected, across all our dailies, that is the top and major story. So let's look at the Guardian newspaper and see what they're really saying about this coalition that has been formed. The Guardian newspaper says anxiety over PDP's future as ADC excites aggrieved politicians. The writer to that story, crisis brews as ADC faction alleges imposition, rejects Mark Aregbesola. Now, after a protracted battle with internal crisis, the People's Democratic Party, once celebrated as Africa's largest political party and later as the country's main opposition force, appears to have suffered a near-fatal blow as the emerging African Democratic Congress, ADC, now seems poised to strip it of its last vestiges of its former glory. This comes as the much-anticipated coalition of opposition politicians drawn from the All Progressive Congress, the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and other fringe political platforms formally coalesced under the ADC banner yesterday. And the rebranded ADC unveiled former Senate President Dr. David Mark as the pro-tem national chairman and former Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola as interim national secretary. So Fuad, even as much as there are people who are celebrating this particular coalition under the auspices of the ADC, there's already been some level of controversy. Because, for example, the original party members of the ADC are claiming that their party was usurped from them, and they are displeased about the fact that these individuals have come and they have taken their party away from them. We even have an ᴏᴜᴜ Sowore who says, and I quote, "You cannot join thieves to fight thieves." That's what he says, that this party is not going to focus on governance, but rather their primary focus is just to take power away from the party, or the structure of their party being stripped away from them. There's also conversations around the fact that the sincerity of purpose of this party is still in question. Is this about giving people vibrant opposition, or about taking power away from the APC? And also for the individuals that form what word will I use now? For example, the David Mark, Ralph Aregbesola, these individuals, their personality, the role, the position that they occupy within the party, all of these things together, do you think it properly positions the ADC as the opposition that we might need for 2027? And how would it influence voter behavior?
The announcement of the coalition to adopt the party ADC and then announce the chairman and national secretary for the party. I think that we knew that somehow this day was going to come. The interesting thing about that announcement yesterday was to see that Mr. Peter Obi was a part of that announcement. Because there have been a lot of questions and speculations and discussions around the fact that we might have a coalition that would exclude, that would not have Mr. Peter Obi on board. But this looks stronger than expected, if you ask me. And that's why you can see that, look, it's getting the attention, it's already getting even down to the level of the presidency. I think yesterday, Mr. Bayo Onanuga issued a statement. And that's to tell you that this is no longer a joke. And if there are APC members who just want to dismiss what was announced yesterday, I'm sure the leaders of the party know better. They understand that politics is not about just sitting back and hoping that, look, these things cannot happen. If anybody had predicted that the PDP was going to lose in 2015 the way they lost, they probably also thought it was a joke. When, the disgruntled members of the PDP, members of then the AC, and, and other parties came together to form the APC and somehow were able to put themselves together to boot out the PDP in 2015. It all came and started almost like a joke. And so, at least we now have something to work with. It's a long, long walk to victory for this new coalition movement or political party, because they still have to do a lot of work if they're going to stand a chance at all to defeat the APC under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I think that is well established. We now know that this much talked about coalition now has a political platform. We've talked about ADA, there have been talked about the SDP, different speculations on the political platform that, this coalition was going to ride on. Now, we have the ADC. On the issue of original party members or owners complaining that these guys have come to hijack their party. I think the only member of the party, and when you say member of the party, we are not even sure if it's a founding member of the ADC. Is their former presidential candidate. Are you with me, say?
Yes, I'm with you, Ford.
Yeah. Mr. Dr. Dumebi Kachuku, who has been the most vocal since the announcement was made yesterday. He's been on TV, and I think he's been very vocal about the fact that these guys have just come to hijack their party from them. But I think it's also in the papers today. The original founder, the man that founded the party, that started the formation of the party, I think his name is Mr. FᴜΓᴜᴜ. I've issued a statement to say, look, we decided to surrender the leadership of the party to this new guy. Yes, there was an existing leadership structure of the party, but it was a collective decision of existing leaders of the party to say, look, let us surrender our leadership to these new guys who maybe in their estimation have a better political capital to drive the party to greater reckoning and greater political achievement. That's what comes to mind. So whether they hijack the party or not, I think it will no longer matter if it is true that the existing leaders of the party and the founding members of the party have decided to work with these guys. You might just have a lone voice in the wilderness in Dumebi Kachuku who is complaining bitterly at this time, but he might complain, might not really have any relevance at the end of the day, and it all depends on how it all ends. So I think that is well established. I would assume that the politicians in the coalition understand their politics. They must have checked and rechecked again. Remember that they were supposed to come up under the platform of the SDP.
Yeah.
And if you followed what Madam Nᴇᴜsᴜ said, before they discovered that there was a virus in that one, and it was going to be problematic for them. So I probably think that what they've done, they've done wide consultations, they've consulted widely, they've asked questions, they've checked the ADC to know that, look, it's a safe platform for them to work on or work with ahead of the 2027 elections. But it's still a developing story. We'll see how all that goes. Now, on people like Comrade ᴏᴜᴜ S쏘Ɂ, who is complaining that these guys just want to hijack power, they don't have good records. Yes, a lot of people have also talked, and I think that's even what the APC is saying now. What they are now doing is to begin to profile, all of the active players within the coalition. They are putting out their biography, they are putting out their stories to say, oh, can you trust these guys? David Mark, for example, this was a guy that worked actively to truncate democracy. He was one of the people that, did everything possible to ensure June 12 did not come to reality. Oh, when he was Senate president, what did he do? Even in his own state, Benue, what has he done? Oh, Rahul Farouk-Beshola was commissioner under Tinubu. He was governor for 8 years. Does he have that record? So, the politicians have started to profile themselves. But the question is, we look left and we look right. Is there any difference? Say it.
We can look up. Maybe.
Is there any difference?
Maybe we should start looking up.
Even when you look up, it's the same thing you will see. When it comes to the political space in Nigeria, say, look left and right, look up, down, dig into the ground. What you will bring out is still the same thing. Oh, how I wish this is the Yoruba version of this program. There's something that comes to mind.
Say, tell me. I might know. Tell me.
Okay. You see, and I want to appeal to Nigerians to be very circumspect and be very careful with some of the narratives that they will be pushing out, whether it's from the ruling party or the opposition. The framing of stories, we're going to see a lot of perception management, propaganda that will start to fly around. But look, our situation in Nigeria is just like the words of a very popular musician. You interpret this one, or you told me to go ahead. I was going to avoid.
I said I might know, so tell me.
You will have to. You just have to. So, and for our non-Yoruba listeners, get a Yoruba person to interpret for you. Nigerians are in a situation like any tolopamu, tolongo gba woro, ongo gba koro. Kosha ti de police station ni, as we are between the devil and the deep blue sea. It's same of the same. We just have to choose. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Police catch you. See, police don't catch you. They carry you go police station. They say, no, don't take me through the straight road or the street. Let's follow the backyard. My neighbors will see me. Whether you follow backyard,
jets, you are going to the police station.
So as we are, okay, what are the options? Tell me the options that we have now. You don't want David Mark and Alegbeshola and Amechi and Rufai. You need company. Rufai keep people. You need okay. The ruling party, is it different from this one? Okay, well, what are the options? Realistically, okay. So, what then should we now do? In this coalition, as it is now, you have Peter Obi, you have Atiku, you have Rufai, you have Amechi, David Mark, Alegbeshola, these other guys. In the ruling party, is there any difference? You have Akpabio, you have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Abi, and all the others. In the PDP, we don't know what will still happen with that one. You have Wike, you have Saraki. What is left there? Bala Muhammad and Co.
Even the people you are mentioning, do we really have them? Because there's one of them that their leg is in the other side. One leg is in the other side.
One leg there. So what I'm saying is that, look, and I've predicted it severally, if people really pay attention, the old shape. I would then have to determine by probing into their manifesto because, look, we are, it's almost like it's a captured state. Yesterday, you took out time to talk about how heavily monetized our electoral space is. The other guys will not look. We weaponize poverty. We weaponize there. Is our friend here. We have conversations every now and then. But you and I know that it doesn't stand a chance. Does he? Say it.
Not with the
if we are looking for somebody, because you see people that say we want fresh people. Where are the fresh people that stand a chance in this political space?
What I mean.
Okay, maybe me, Abby.
No, hold on. I think the people exist. It's just because of the structure of our electioneering process.
That's what we are saying.
That's what we are saying. The power, the influence, conversations around fairness.
Maybe I told you yesterday that if you decide to say, okay, I'm interested, though, I want to go back to somewhere in Oyo State to go and contest for House of Rep.
First of all, who is your daddy, first of all?
Because we've gone around with politicians. When you hear we are having meeting, they are meeting from one meeting from leadership. So we understand our limitations. We understand our local peculiarity. We cannot be delusional about it and live in denial about our reality. So because of our reality, we then have to decide that, look, since we are bound by these choices, we really don't have, what are the options? So, look, I've seen the APC come up with all manner of David Mark is this, David Mark is that, you happen to democracy. Look, we should leave all those stories and focus on the reality of today because they have not done better. If it's about the person that killed democracy during June 12th, they are also killing democracy now. So nobody should be deceived. The same of the same. Nobody will come and be giving us all those boo-boo. Those boo-boo has to end. What we should be listening to now and pay attention to is that what do you want to do differently? The so-called coalition people is what I'm talking about now. Yesterday I got a bit irritated when I saw that it was Dino Milai that was the MC of that event. I have my grounds with that one.
Yeah.
If I want to even tolerate every other person, my mind does not even tolerate the shenanigans of Dino Milai. By his public portrayals and the way he carries himself. And to even think that it's going to be a part of what apparently considering as an option gets me worried. But it is what it is. So, look, we would have to see how these people are able to put themselves together, at least for the sake of our democracy, whether it is wobbled or not. We may have at least something a bit more viable now, at least that can put the APC on their feet. Put their fingers on the fire and begin to give them some form of pressure. Because it was almost looking as if we were sliding towards a one-party state. Everything was looking captured. But I think that, look, this could bring some form of vibrancy into the system. We are not saying this is the ideal. But like they always say, when the desirable is not available, the available will have to become desirable. Because it's a conversation on Sunday.
Yes, on political
Just what it
roundtable.
is.
Well, the PDP acting national chairman Umar Damagum is saying that the party is united and is warning that there will be consequences for members that undermine the PDP.
Who is talking? Who is talking?
Umar.
Who is he? Who is Umar Damagum?
PDP national chairman.
So he has suddenly found his voice. He has
wow.
He has suddenly found his voice to threaten people now. When there are members of the party doing clear anti-party activities, messing up his party, so it is suddenly now that he knows that if they are still okay, what is the consequence for people like Atiku and the Dilo-Melai and who have left the party? Is it not to expel them from the party? And have they told him that they want to remain in the party?
What's the consequence for Wike, for example? I don't see any.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't think that is a problem. If you ask Umar Damagum now, Wike is not a problem to the PDP.
Wow.
If the only thing he can now say.
I don't say wow now. Well, he
If the only thing he can now say.
That just because you're in the coalition, if you do anything that jeopardizes the party's integrity, there will be consequences. What the consequences
Does that party have any integrity left in the PDP?
Wow.
What exactly is the integrity that Umar Damagum is talking about? If you are talking about the PDP. What is even left of the PDP as a party? My mind even tells me that some renegade members are just quietly marking time. You know, the Southeast Caucus have told them that the way people are behaving, Amato Kweruwa will leave the party. So what is Umar Damagum saying? Didn't he know how he even got into that position himself? He has a party that is not able to coordinate. Suddenly, he's talking about people in the coalition and consequences for them. Whereas the man that is tearing your party apart, you can't even say anything about it. Then let's get to more serious stuff.
You find that story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. This is trends in the papers on mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Babalola. Fuad Said is here, our in-house analyst. We're trying to make sense of these reports and also keeping you up to speed with the developments that have happened in the last 24 hours as reported by our newspapers. It's 6 minutes past 8 here in the city of Lagos. We're going back to the papers now. Federal government raises concern over 75% desertification in northern state, begins review of policy on drought and desertification. We have the federal government has raised concerns over the rising threat of desertification in some northern state, revealing that between 50 and 75% of the land mass in Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara state is already affected. Now, the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, raised the concern yesterday in Abuja, and he described desertification as the most pressing environmental issue in dryland areas, stating that the states, which account for 38% of the country's total land area, are home to nearly 27 million people and are becoming increasingly vulnerable to poverty, food shortages, and migration due to harsh environmental conditions. So, for what we do have an environmental crisis on our hands, especially in the northern part of the country with desertification. And you do realize that the migration and the farmer-herders clash has oftentimes been also linked to this problem of desertification, because the herders have to migrate and relocate their cattle to where there's vegetation, to where there's water, because their own areas are now dry land and they're not able to cater to their cattle in these places. Now, aside from the fact that it is a factor to consider in farmer-herder clashes, there are now concerns of poverty. Obviously, the farmers cannot plant on dry land and they don't have the resources for artificial or irrigation, if you want to call it. And this is causing problem that would most likely exacerbate the poverty figure, malnutrition that we see in the states that are most affected.
Well, Sage, the reality of nature as it concerns climate change, nature taking its toll on humanity. And whether we like it or not, some of the crises we have in the north central part of the country is fairly related to this particular story. Maybe a lot of people are not even paying attention, because if we are being told, according to this story and that particular commission, that about 78% of what is supposed to be green land in this part of the country. How many states? I think about 7 states.
Yeah, about 8 of them.
Yeah, about 7 states in the north are facing the challenge of desertification. Probably will now understand why most of the herders in this part of the country are pushing into the north central part of the country, because again they need to get to graze, or get their cattle to graze, and if there are no grazing areas available for them in their own regions. Sorry. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you, Fuad.
Yeah, so again, the challenge of desertification, and for people to know the effect of desertification all the way from the Sahara Desert. If you look at the map of Nigeria, maybe use Google Earth or something, where you can really see the reddish nature of land in these areas. You see the clear effect of desertification, the encroachment, all the way from the Sahara Desert, from the Maghreb down into most parts of the northern states. So, and now that nature is making our headers to continue to push down south from the north central part of the south. Unfortunately, people in the north central part of the country and the south, where you have this greenery, the grass for these cattle to graze on, are farmers. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when these things happen, it is expected that human beings are supposed to be proactive, apply technology, apply wisdom, create new laws to now see how to manage themselves. And that's why there are people who are saying that the old idea of nomadic farming has to end. Rearing cattle, taking them around streets, around communities. Since it's now becoming problematic, it has to end. We cannot begin to look at a more modern way of doing that business. And that's when the idea of ranching has come up. So nature would always do what it will do. It is left for humans to now get more proactive, get more decisive, and intentional about fixing the problem. Because again, I'm seeing that beyond the issue of desertification, we also have to look at the implications on the other farmer clashes we are seeing. Because it is nature, pushing us against one another, and now we have to find a way to solve the problem.
Well, that story is also one that we see on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. I'd like us to look at the story very briefly. National Assembly faces gridlock as reps halt consideration of Senate bills. House considers 46 new state creation requests, 117 for LGAs in constitution review. Speakers seek governor support for fiscal federalism, state police. Now, a brewing crisis is threatening to paralyze Nigeria's legislative process as the House of Representatives has suspended consideration of all Senate-sponsored bills, citing prolonged delays in the red chamber's concurrence to over 140 bills passed by lower chamber. The move, fueled by accusation of Senate neglect, underlines a rift that could erode inter-chamber cooperation and stall the passage of critical legislation. The imbalance is unacceptable. We will no longer consider their bills unless we get a firm commitment that ours will be treated with the same urgency, declared Speaker Tajuddin Abbas. The lawmakers, led by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, raised concern that the Senate had failed to act on critical bills transmitted by the lower chamber, with some pending for more than 6 months. Once again, Fuad, we're faced with the conversation of consideration for the collapse of the legislative arm of government. Yes. Instead of a bicameral system, let's just have one, because even they're having conflict. When we transmit bills to you, you disregard them for as much as 6 months. But when you send bills to us,
on your own.
We hear it, we go on ahead, we do what we need to do. But then this superiority complex that is now starting to exist between these two chambers, if that's the right word for it. What would you think is the way forward?
I would agree that you really need a bicameral legislature. You really need. We just borrowed the idea from the US and maybe some other countries, and because they do it, we also have to do it. But I think that it's shown that wasting too much money, keeping the two chambers. We could just have one, and just if you ask me, I prefer that we have maybe the Senate alone. Just have 3 people representing the state, or probably we just work with the House of Reps that has more representation for many subnational parts of the country. But that's not even the bone of contention. Now you have a situation where the two chambers are not able to work together seamlessly.
Yeah.
The accusation is that, look, when it comes to Senate bills that comes to us, we take it seriously and do what we need to do. And if you look at the number of pending bills before us, your own is almost like times 10 of what we have with us. So what they are now saying is that we're also going to suspend hearing on your bill so that you can also begin to take us serious. That chamber, the two chambers are dominated by the same party. And I would assume that at the caucus level, the party caucus level, they should be able to resolve all of that. I'm even surprised that it's even getting to the public space. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Since the two chambers are dominated by the same party, And they have caucuses. The ruling party has got its caucus in both chambers. And I hope that, one would have expected that they would have been able to discuss that at the caucus level to say, oh, why is it that, when it comes to your own bill, we take it seriously, we move fast with it, move fast on it, and without it just keeps there, it stays there for too long. But once again, I think that's one thing they will be able to resolve. We probably will not see it blown out of proportion.
They'll be fine.
In the story, you said some people are requesting for state creation. I mean,
Yes. No, these are some of the bills that are currently under considerations that have not been attended to. That's what they're saying. State creation.
Maybe because you think it's a complete waste of time. It won't fly. There's no state creation bill fly now. Never. Not anyone.
I mean, let's handle the ones that we have on ground before we create new ones. Yes. Let's move on to more important conversations for outside. We're still looking at the Guardian newspaper. Obi Sani differ on Tinubu's scholarship to OESC students. Now, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023, Peter Obi, has criticized President Bola Tinubu's decision to offer scholarship to students from St. Lucia and other Caribbean countries, while millions of Nigerian children remain out of school. His view on this initiative is a sharp contrast with that of Shehu Sani, who represented Kaduna Central in the Senate. Sani said Tinubu's decision to announce scholarship for students from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States should not be regarded as a waste of national resources. Obi, in a statement yesterday, described the move as an act of betrayal against Nigerian children, since Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children globally, with approximately 20 million children lacking access to education. He says Nigeria's education system is in ruins, with public schools in the Federal Capital Territory shut down for months and the teachers are unpaid. And so Peter Obi is here questioning the logic behind the president's decision to offer scholarship to students in the Caribbean. Mind you, the president was just conferred honors. He was made a knight, so to speak, and he has offered to fund Caribbean children's education. And so we have a Peter Obi who says that is totally unacceptable. There's 20 million of your own people who do not have access to education, and now you want to use taxpayers' money, Nigerian taxpayers' money, to sponsor the children of those in another place where the economy is fairly good and they can take care of themselves.
That's it. What do we intend to get from this St. Lucia? Get something we are looking for. Do they have oil?
I don't believe so.
Diamond.
I don't know. I should actually research St. Lucia. I don't really know what their economic viability is like. I don't know.
So what exactly are we looking for in the Caribbean, that tiny Caribbean island? We need to ask ourselves, because what Mr. Peter Obi is saying is simple. Charity begins at home. We need to probably ask ourselves, how many Nigerian students, for example, vulnerable, are on any scholarship from the federal government? What you have is a student loan that is barely functional, if you ask me. How many Nigerian students have our scholarship?
Sorry, I just looked at St. Lucia, and it's just forest, it's good for tourism, beach, plants, animal life, tourism appeal.
I think the entire population is about 1,000. Wow. You don't even have a standing army. There's nothing. So what's and our president has been there for how many days? 6.
I think 5 now. 5 days.
It's about 5 days.
Yeah.
So what are we looking for? What are we prospecting for in St. Lucia? We need to know, again, to keep our president in that country for 5 days. There must be something important about that nation that has caught the attention and the mind of the president. I shared something with you yesterday. Yeah. Where our governor was telling us about how beautiful
he wrote a poem.
The view from his hotel room is.
Yeah, the scenery and the greenery.
The greenery is the hotel, the beach, everything. I think our governor, they enjoy you. Was that what he was telling us? That the place is so beautiful,
nice, peaceful,
beach. Baba, they relax on you.
Yeah, we like this.
Then
you wake up to downfall sound.
Sorry?
I say here in Lagos, you wake up to downfall sound.
Downfall you. I've seen 2 people beating themselves up in the bus stop now. No, I won't hear it. The street lights are. I don't know. Anyways, let's move to the next story.
Well, Nigeria among top 10 countries violating workers' rights. I'm tired, first of all.
Why are we always at the bottom?
I'm just tired. Like, I mean, give us something good.
We talk about poverty index now. GDP per capita, bottom.
Well, that is.
Now, the country that violates workers' rights, we're also at the bottom.
And do you know what's more disappointing is the country with the largest economy. Why are we on a list that has a country like Sudan? Why are we anywhere on a list with a country that is at war? Anyways, Nigeria has joined Bangladesh, Belarus, Ecuador, Egypt, Eswatini, Myanmar, Philippines, Tunisia, and Turkey as the as the worst country violating workers' rights, according to International Trade Union Confederation, the ITUC Global Rights Index 2025. Workers' rights are collapsing in most parts of the world. The report says workers in most parts of the world in all free fall across continents, with Europe and America recording their worst scores since the index began in 2014. It says that 7 countries have the top rating of 1 for their respect for workers' rights, compared with 51 or 1 in 3 rated 5 and 5+. It just goes on ahead to tell us the statistics and the breakdown and the figures. That might be a little bit confusing, but the initial paragraph is very clear. So, for countries that violate the rights of workers, who do not take care of them, withhold their wages, treatment, it's just a lot of things that they do wrong. Nigeria has joined Bangladesh, Belarus, Ecuador, Egypt, Myanmar, Tunisia. And unfortunately, America is slowly going down that slope, according to this report, because this is the worst America has recorded since 2014, where workers' rights are being violated. I mean, the U.S. used to be the yardstick to measure how you treat workers. They earn per hour, they get their holidays, they're taken care of, they have their health insurance. There are even some companies that help you work your visa if you're an immigrant and you're a diligent worker. But as it stands, America is now recording the worst since 2014, and Nigeria is on that list for the countries that violate the right of workers.
Well, it's what it is. Every time this list comes up, it's always unfortunate that we're always, if you are not one of the top 10, you are top 12, top 16, we're always at the bottom of the ladder. Just ridiculous, really. Because again, the idea of violation of workers' rights is big. If you are going to ask me, if you want to begin to list what could be considered or can be considered as violation of workers' rights, you probably have a long list of things. So you probably will need to see a further breakdown of why Nigeria. Is it that we don't pay salaries, or we owe people, or there are no benefits?
Wait first. Is this even in? I mean, the ASU goes on strike every other day. So what do you mean that do we pay salary as how? Do you think doctors?
I just want us to know that we know where the problem is.
Please.
Or the problems are too much for us to even know which one is.
Doctors with their lab coats on the streets protesting non-payment of salary.
We even see that a lot of our young people are leaving the country. I think there's a war here. It should tell a whole lot about why it's not even viable to work in this country. It's unfortunate, really. And we hope that, the government is paying attention to this at the federal and subnational level. Who is even the Minister of Labour now?
Well, I keep forgetting the names of these individuals because they change them every other market day.
And when we were in school in those days,
we remember.
We know the name of the governors, all the ministers, But these days, it's even difficult for those of us in the media to keep up with some of these people. Because some of them are just there lounging, just passing around, doing nothing. Missed in action completely. The only minister I know now, they are no more than 5.
Dingyadi. Mohammed Magari Dingyadi.
What has he ever done that even brought him to? So you see that you can't blame me for not knowing.
I mean, you do know. I think you just forgot because we've had conversations around it. I forgot.
Maybe it comes once in a while, does 1 or 2 things, and At least I know Wiki. If I don't know anybody, I know you're some Wiki.
Nah, for you. Let's move on to other conversations. We're about to move down to the Punch newspaper. Again, most of the stories on the front page of the Punch are the stories that we've addressed earlier in the day when we were looking at the Guardian newspaper. The stories are replicated, and it makes sense because these are the most prominent stories that we have for today. But let's talk about this story in the Punch, where the president says, "I inherited a country near bankruptcy." This is according to the president. He said his administration has rescued Nigeria's economy from the brink of collapse, assuring Nigerians living in St. Lucia that significant reforms are stabilizing the country. and reviving investor confidence. He said as of the time he assumed office, he inherited a country that was near bankruptcy. This was disclosed in a statement released by the Special Advisor to the President of Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. He was speaking at an interactive session with members of the Nigerian community on Wednesday at the Windjammer Resort in Castries. President Tinubu highlighted the difficult economic situation his administration inherited and the steps that have been taken to reverse it.
You really want us to analyze this story or just wait?
Wait, because I mean, it's you that we it's you that we analyze.
I'm tempted to beg you to just let us move on. And let's just at least people have listened to what you read out. And let's just move on.
We should just move on, Abby.
I want to be in it. I'm somehow in a good mood this morning. I don't want to. You should understand what I'm saying, the story is, there's nothing, is there anything to add in what you have said?
It's your decision.
They said they inherited the bankrupt economy and they revived it. So
they're taking steps to revive it.
Today we didn't hear that one. So let's move on now. Nigerians, the president is saying that they inherited a bankrupt economy and they've done a lot to revive it. So that's the story. There's nothing to analyze again. Let's go.
That's the story, indeed. Well, Fuad, we have this one here. The Vanguard actually is reporting that Amechi resigned from the APC and says Nigeria is completely destroyed. He accuses INEC of helping the APC to hijack the election, according to the Vanguard newspaper. The former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, on Wednesday said Nigeria is completely destroyed and required a complete change. He was speaking in an interview after the unveiling of the interim executive of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, in Abuja, and said that things have become so bad that Nigerians can't afford to eat because there's no money to buy food. He seems to be talking a lot about this hunger thing. I think his primary focus is, the hunger and all that.
Rotimi Amechi is saying that Nigeria is destroyed. Completely destroyed.
Yes.
So who destroyed it?
I don't know. I mean, help us.
No, now we need to ask him now. Now that he knows.
He said that the country is destroyed.
And he knows that the country is destroyed.
He's accusing INEC of complicity.
Okay, INEC of complicity. Fine. So it's INEC that destroyed the country.
I don't know. He's just accusing them of complicity and their interference with the elections, the last.
Because it would be nice to know. It would be nice to know. The people or the persons or the institutions that destroyed the country. Because this is a case. Unless he wants to say that, well, I was also part of the people that destroyed the country. What I'm now doing is I've repented. And this is how I want to do it differently. Because somebody that was a former governor, 8 years, minister, 8 years, cannot suddenly come and be telling me that the country is destroyed. That's why I'm saying that even these coalition people have to be careful the way they address Nigeria. As much as we cannot really trust them, but we have no options. Like I told you, in the case of the man that was arrested by the police, it was just an analogy to tell you where we are as the people. You've got no choice. Wherever you pass, you must reach that police station. We are bound by people who in the past, who presently have not done anything to help the people. So you cannot go on with this narrative of the country is destroyed and suddenly want to begin to print yourself as if you are a modern day messiah. What they should now begin to tell us is that, look, in fact, they must force ourselves responsibility for being a part of the problem. First, all of those people in that coalition must first accept responsibility as being part of where we are. And then now begin to, in fact, they must not start by apologizing to all Nigerians for the roles they played in the past in destroying the country. And now say, this is the period of redemption. This is now what we want to do differently for the people to better their lives. It's not just to come and jump on us and begin to tell us that the country is destroyed, as if they are modern day saints and Messiah. No. All of them on that list were once a part of the problem of this country. And so they have to be careful. Maybe they need a strong PR consultant to tell them how they have to begin to address Nigerians if they are going to be taken seriously at all.
Well, he did say that he was quite shocked that he wasn't expelled from the party because he had told them expressly not to invite him for any meeting as he was not interested in the activities of the party. But since they did not expel him, he's taking the high road and exiting the party by himself. Obviously, he has affiliations with the new coalition party that has been formed.
It's a member of the party.
So let's see what they will do differently because it's old wine in a new god. Would it taste any different? I guess we wouldn't know until we start to see how they operate at the end of the day. We're starting to wrap up the conversation. We have less than a minute to leave here. But also, we should know that the Lagos State government has suspended BRT lane enforcement on Eko Bridge and Odoyalaro axis. This is to ease off the growing traffic. That's the rehabilitation of the Ogudu-Ifako Bridge. So they understand that there'll be a lot of pressure on that road, which is why they're saying let people use the BRT lane at least until the construction has gotten to a reasonable level.
Say it quickly.
Yes.
The enforcement in the even before they now start this enforcement of the BRT lane on Odoyalaro Bridge, have been exploitative. Those guys are there exploiting Nigeria. In fact, if you are coming inwards Maryland towards that bridge, there's a little pothole. I don't know whether they are the ones that created that pothole deliberately. And so they stay, instead of them staying at the entrance of the BRT lane to say, no, you can't go in there, go the other way. They deliberately set you up. They stay very far, only to arrest motorists and then begin to demand no matter how much. That place is set up for these people to exploit Nigerians and harass innocent Nigerians who may not be aware of the rule in that place. They are stopping it now because they are expecting. That place should not be a place where they deliberately set up Nigerians to exploit them. I'm talking about the enforcement they do on the Odoyalaro Bridge. Those guys are thieves. And it's a combination. You see policemen there, you see last man there, you see other people carrying things, harassing people, disturbing people in that place.
Well, that's the enforcement now by Lagos State. Let people use that BRT lane whilst construction is going on at the Ogudu-Ifako road. Well, that's about it. I'll just read this headline here. Man marketers rally for refinery privatization as 3 billion repairs falter. I think that tells us what it is. Just privatize the refineries, concession it if you're not able to handle it by yourself. And Nigeria must review 2025 budget to avert crisis, the IMF warns. Okay, they're asking us to review our budget to avert crisis. Thank you very much for your advice, IMF. We have to leave now, Fuad. Abi, thank you. We have to leave now so we can take commercials. We'll be back for Land Focus. It's Open Mic Thursday, so it's all about you. Let's see what stories have stood out for you since the start of the week. I'm Sage Babalola. We'll be back.